What's going on, people, and welcome to another top 10, and this week it's my all-time favourite top 10 point guards. Let's get into it. Now, point guard in basketball is basically like the quarterback position in American football. It's your creative playmaker, if you will, in football. Basically, it's the most important player in terms of the team aspect of the game in your team. So I've been looking forward to do this one for a while. For me, the point guard is the main man and he's one of your leaders usually. It's not always the case, but a lot of the time it is. And yeah, their job is to distribute the ball to other teammates, get assists, but also chip in with their own share of points as well. So fundamental in a basketball setting. And this is my all-time top 10. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know yours in the comments as well. I'd love to compare and see who you have. So at number 10, Chris Paul. A guy that's still going, got very close a couple years back to winning it with the Suns. They reached the finals and then fell short. One that's probably going to go down and retire without a ring. And he's one of the players that deserves one, I think, for his ability and his leadership, if you will, his longevity. But he's never quite been able to remain consistent enough to drag his team to a ring. Obviously, it takes more than one player, but I feel like he should have won a ring, to be honest. So, Chris Paul, still going, as I said. I'm still surprised he's still going because he's quite old now, but still looks in shape, still looks like he's at peak level. Maybe not as his days in like New Orleans and stuff, but he's a different player now. He's older, he's more mature. He might not have as much pace as he used to have, but he's still very clever and a more all-round player now, I would say. So Chris Paul has to make the list, number 10. Number 9, one of my all-time favourite players just in general, period, in history of basketball. And one that people might not have on their list because I don't think people associate him as very much as a team player because he was a bit more individualistic. But I definitely saw him dish it out to his teammates and give assists, and that is Derrick Rose. His career has been hampered by injury, which is a real big shame because he should have, another one that should have won a ring for me. The talent alone he's got, the ability he's got, still playing, he's at the Knicks now. But as I said, he could have had such a better career had these injuries not taken part and kept him out for so long. But one of my all-time favourites, explosiveness, he could get assists, he could go in the paint and get you buckets. He could shoot from the line. He improved that over his career. He's a better shooter from distance nowadays as well than he was. But I just remember his days at Chicago Bulls, like his first few seasons, he got MVP as well. I think he's the youngest to ever get it, or one of them. Just a fantastic player, and one that I'm sad that had to have so many injuries to derail his career as it has. So, but one of my all-time favourites, Derrick Rose, number 9. In at number 8, Jason Kidd. Obviously in management now, and one that is trying to install his wisdom down to players like Doncic at the Dallas Mavericks, who he also played for. A talented team that they've got there that they could build around Doncic, and had a pretty good year last year. Maybe a bit disappointed to fall in the playoffs when they did, but they can definitely build on it. A fantastic point guard in his own time though, got tons of assists. Fundamentally very good, could do a lot of the stuff on the court, defensively, attacking as well. But yeah, just throwback of the 90s. So he has to make this list for me. A legend, Olympic winner, and one that probably, I know he won a ring with Dallas, but could have won a few more as well during his career, but not for talent alone, just in terms of just not going along well, matchups and stuff like that. But as a talent alone, he could have won more than one ring. Shame he didn't, but a fantastic player, doesn't diminish his career in any way. Jason Kidd, number 8. Number 7, one of a bit of a preference for me because a lot of people sort of disregard him and sort of don't give him the limelight that he probably should get at times, and that is Stephon Marbury. I remember his time at the Knicks, and also with the Nets. More so with the Nets, I remember him, but I do remember him at the Knicks. Explosive, creative, like, would do things that most players can't do in terms of athletic ability and pulling shots off, like when he's in mid-air and just converting shots that you wouldn't think were scientifically possible. Could lead his team. He could do the ugly side of the game. Had a great career and went on to like go and play abroad quite a bit. He had a documentary released quite not that long ago that I watched. It was very good. So I'd recommend that as well. But one that just a fantastic leader on the team. He was reliable. And it was a shame that he never really got to the peak of the mountain for me. But Stephen Marbury, I remember his time at the Timberwolves as well with Garnett. Just a fiery player. Could light it up on any given night as well. Stephen Marbury, number 7. In at number 6, we got Rajon Rondo. Another one that would pull off assists, no-look passes, athletic stuff that you'd be like, whoa, where did that come from? But just in terms of some of his dimes that he dished out with assists, I've not seen anyone like him really in terms of the flair, the confidence. People wouldn't expect it from him, and he continues to do things that you wouldn't necessarily see a lot of players do in terms of the assists he would get, and he would chip in with his share of points when you needed him to too. Won a ring as well with Celtics, and still going. Another one that's still plugging away later into his career. He's had a few little niggling injuries and stuff, but yeah, I think he's a little bit of a feisty character, and one that I've heard that is a little bit at times off the court, a bit tricky to deal with, but when he's on it, he's a fantastic player and one that offers you something that not a lot of teams have. So, Rajon Rondo, number 6. Number 5, the stat man, the one that got the pick and roll going, John Stockton. Obviously, all the time with his career with Karl Malone, the pick and roll system at the Jazz. They're the two that are always mentioned when you mention people that should have won a ring and didn't. Malone and Stockton come up in them top 2 probably before anyone else, or at least in the top 5 if you're going to mention names. Them two are there all the time, and I agree. A lot of people they think he was a bit one-dimensional, Stockton, with a pick and roll system, but he was elite at it. And even if he was one-dimensional, which I don't necessarily agree with, he did it at the highest level possible and nearly won a ring doing it in several seasons. So, yes, if it weren't for Stockton, I don't think Malone would have got the points that he racked up through his career. But that's what I mean. He's a vital part of the system in helping other players. So, John Stockton has to make the list for me. I don't think he always gets the respect and credit he should, but I recognise it. So 5, John Stockton. Number 4, another guy similar to Rondo in terms of offering you flair, confidence, that kind of star ability that would pull assists off, no-look passes, dunks, and just had that swag about him in the 90s. Penny Hardaway. Another one whose career was ruined by injury. Should have won a ring with Shaq at the Magic a few seasons there, but the injuries started taking their part and taking their toll on him. And it's a shame because he was a fantastic player that had the confidence, had the flair, had the trickery. It's just a shame because, as I said, in terms of having that star quality and wanting to go watch someone in person, he was one of them. Penny Hardaway, it's a shame that his career was hampered so much by injury, but one that I remember growing up, seeing posters on the wall that my brother had of him, and doing my research recently on him for this video as well, just some of his highlights and that, just different, really different. So Penny Hardaway, number 4. In at number 3, had to put him on this list. He's not my favourite in terms of, I wouldn't have him on this list in terms of that kind of that flair and showboatiness, but in terms of stats, numbers, achievements, and just having respect for sheer numbers and the professional he was, and his free throw percentage, I believe, is the all-time highest free throw percentage from the free throw line, Mr. Steve Nash. A little bit unlucky not to be involved in the Olympic teams and stuff because of his Canadian residence, because he definitely would have won an Olympic medal for me. Like I said, free throw percentage, the best to ever do it, and unbelievable with that record. But just in terms of unselfish play, knowing where to be on the court to dish it to his teammates, and he could chip in with his points when you needed him to as well. But in terms of just being unselfish and dishing it out to his teammates and making them look better, I think he's the best ever, and doesn't get the credit. I think because he's quite a humble guy and quite religious by what I remember, and he doesn't always get the respect, and he's a white guy, obviously we don't get the respect sometimes. But he is a baller in terms of the numbers, achievements, respect. Put some respect on his name. He's done it all in the game. Steve Nash, number 3. Number 2, AI, the answer, Mr. Allen Iverson. Easily could have been number 1 for me, but I had to put respect on this other guy in a minute as well. But AI, probably my favourite ever player at point guard position. If we were going on favourites, he'd be number 1 for me, just out of preference. But he didn't win a ring, so I had to factor that in as well. But he really should have won a ring. It's a shame that he didn't get to do that, but made the All-Star team a few times. Little bit problematic with managers at times and stuff, but once they gelled with him and understood what he was trying to bring to the team, most of the time it'd end out working, apart from getting to that ring, do you know what I mean? But they'd get far in playoffs and stuff, and even in teams that were struggling, look at what he did with the 76ers, getting them to the finals against the Lakers, with a team that you couldn't name any other players really right now. So, and that's not trying to be disrespectful, but like, he was just levels above everyone on his team, and he dragged them to that final, and they won a game in the final. So it wasn't a clean sweep either, against the likes of Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe, and he'd done that almost single-handedly. So the answer, AI, obviously brought a lot of culture to basketball that's still relevant to this day. A lot of players followed what he did with the sleeves, the tattoos, the look, and just my all-time favourite player in terms of just swag, skills, flair, confidence. Like, brilliant. I miss watching him. Allen Iverson, number 2. And then at number 1, as I said, not my favourite, but in terms of having knowledge and respect for someone, because he was before my time as well. But I know about him. I know what he could do. Earvin Magic Johnson. Come into the league as a rookie, won a title, off the bench. Someone got injured and he came in and people were looking at him like, who's this guy? And he showed who he was, getting a ring straight away. And then he built on that as well and got multiple rings with the Lakers, built a dynasty there at such a young age. We all know that his off-the-field stuff, the health issues he had at the time, but thankfully got through it and he's still with us today. The ambassador for the Lakers, or I think the president or something now for them, involved heavily in their recruitment and stuff like that. In terms of like again, he had that magic, that unpredictability, the Showtime Lakers that he brought into fruition, dishing it out to the likes of Worthy, Kareem as well, making his teammates look better, but also at the same time, he brought that flair into the league back in the day that we hadn't really seen up to that point. And the battles he had with Bird, him and Larry Bird's battles were they're historic. Go and watch documentaries on them, I have, and they're excellent. They both drove each other to new heights and wouldn't want to be outdone by each other, and because of that, they both got the best out of each other. And it kind of elevated the NBA at the time to, if it weren't for what they did back in the 80s, we wouldn't have the game we have today, and that is for definite. So, and that was before Jordan even came in. He came in sort of nearer the end of their careers, but they started it in terms of the flair, the individualism, putting up numbers, and getting rings. So he's got my full respect, hence why I've got him at number 1. Magic Johnson, number 1 all-time point guard for me. Hope you enjoyed my list, guys. And also, I just wanted to mention as well for Magic, he was like 6 foot, what was he, 7 or something? Or 6'8". One of the tallest ever point guards, but he would play like a smaller guy. He had the handles of like a Penny, do you know what I mean, or a Kid, even an Iverson. Like, he had a combination of a lot of these smaller guys in a bigger frame, and he would pull it off. So, full respect, Magic Johnson, number 1. Hope you enjoyed the list, guys. Let me know yours in the comments. And before I go, 2,000 subscribers by the 1st of December. But let's get there before that. Where are you? I'm waiting for you. Put some respect on the channel. Put some respect on your name for getting involved. Show your friends. Get them to join and subscribe. I've been at this channel for 11 years. And I think we should have more numbers by now because the consistency's been there. I'm going to be releasing another video later today as well. So look out for that. Appreciate everyone's support. I'll catch you on the next one.